Pleased to welcome Kellie Garrett from Jennifer Cunningham Insurance. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Cal.
Nice to have somebody from Jennifer Cunningham back into the studio after we so sadly lost Jennifer. And, so there's been a little bit of a gap, but everything's continued.
Yes, of course.
So everybody's working hard and continuing on as planned. And I suppose that's how Jennifer would have wanted it.
Absolutely, yes, definitely. Everything's still working as it should. Mm-hmm. So, everyone's busy in the offices. Very good.
So there are a few people who were a little unsure initially, but her son is still in control and
absolutely.
Looking after things.
Mark's taken over the company, and we've got lots of amazing staff in the various offices. So everything's just running as smoothly as it always was.
And Jennifer's name lives on. It's brilliant.
Absolutely, yes, 100%.
How many offices? Remind us where you are.
We've got our head office in Havierport. We've got our renewals team that are in the Els Poblets office. Then we've got an office in Lanzarote as well. And we've got Los Alcázares, La Marina, Pla Flamenca and Benihoffer, which is the office that I work from.
It's incredible, isn't it? The amount of offices that Jennifer built up over the years.
Yes, there's loads, and they're all very busy offices, very successful.
So it's insurance for expats. You have to be resident, right, to get the insurance?
That's right, yes, you do. We it's mainly for expats, but we also do insure, a lot of Spanish people as well.
You do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we've got a lot of different nationalities actually, not just Brits.
So we're going to focus on your particular area for the first one, which should help us both along, all right then, and that's travel.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's what I do in the Benihoffer office. But we do have travel insurance in all the offices. Everybody can do the travel insurance. That's what I do. Apparently, I'm a bit of an expert. I'm not sure I agree about that, but
we're going to find out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, what about this though? People say to you, "Well, hang on, why do you need to? Why do you do travel in Spain? We live in Spain. Why do we need to travel anywhere?"
Of course. I mean, a lot of people do tend to forget about travel insurance, but it is very, very important because anything can happen when you travel. For example, a lot of people, we do have a lot of retired people that are spending a lot of money on some amazing trips that they're going on. And, there can be mishaps happen. So if something was to cancel unexpectedly, then they're going to be covered for that. Things like, cancellation and disruption. Or if there's a medical mishap, you want to make sure you're covered. Certainly if you're going to places a bit further afield like America or something.
Do you find people do actually travel from Spain further afield?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As I say, a lot of people spend quite a lot of money on their trips. So, of
course, there's cruises as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of people, we do cover a lot of people that go on cruises. It's not a cruise-specific insurance, but we do cover many people that go on cruises, and we get that question quite a lot. Do we cover cruises, actually?
Yeah, and I suppose there are different types. How do you work out how to get the right travel insurance for what you're doing?
Okay, well, we do like to give our clients a choice because not everybody's got the same budget. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they might be going as a family or a couple, or some people going as a single person. But we've got different various levels of cover. We've got silver, gold and platinum. So, of course, silver will give you the least cover. But then if you're, say, going to America where you're paying more for your holiday, but also you need maybe more medical value, then, you'd normally go for the platinum, for example.
So can you have all of it in together, sort of cancellation or, anything that might happen in one?
Absolutely. For example, as I mentioned earlier, you've got cancellation and disruption. Mm-hmm. You've got emergency, medical and repatriation expenses, baggage and personal effects. Then you're going to want your money, credit cards, debit cards, and any important documents that you might be carrying. You need them covered. People don't think about that. No, exactly. You've got legal expenses as well as personal liability. And there's even cover for hijack, would you believe?
Wow. You come out and get us if you get
no,
hijacked.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's not quite good to know. What sort of other things do people ask for, like extra protection? Things like, I don't know, ski equipment, for instance, perhaps?
Yeah, we do. We've got cover for winter sports. So if you're snowboarding or skiing, that'll cover things like loss lost equipment, or, if your equipment's been stolen or it's damaged and whatever, you've got cover for that. Also, there's a lot of keen golfers that come to the Costa Blanca, for example. All right, there's a lot of golfers here, but
a lot of people travel as well.
People travel as well, so they can have cover for their equipment as well. And again, if they don't want to lose their clubs and things like that. And gadget cover.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they cost so much these days.
I mean,
your phones,
sometimes
your tablets,
it's
your
worse.
laptops.
It's worse losing your phone than it is your passport sometimes.
Indeed.
It's got everything on the phone, hasn't it? So these are the sort of things you can have cover for.
And does that happen quite often? Like, I guess it does. People forget their phone. You just leave it on top of the car, like
exactly.
you do with sunglasses.
It's just so easy, isn't it?
Or leave it in a restaurant or something like that.
Exactly. Or even if you're taking equipment like golf equipment or cycling equipment, things like that, it might get broken or damaged, So people, they pay a lot of money to go on these trips, like a golfing trip or a cycling trip. Lots of people got different hobbies and they spend a lot of money on their equipment, so you definitely need to have that covered.
Do cyclists take out extra insurance for cycling?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've got cover, for all kinds of things, mostly the equipment, because, it might get stolen or it's very important to have those, because at the end of the day, you can take out a standard travel insurance, but if you're going on a specific holiday, like a trip for cycling or golf, you're not going to be covered unless you take out that extra cover.
It's the be all and end all, isn't it?
Yeah,
and how
absolutely.
quick can you get something resolved? Like, say, I don't know, your bike gets damaged and beyond repair or something like that. Are you going to be able to replace or hire one?
You can certainly hire something. Yeah, definitely. You'd be able to hire something. If there is an issue whilst you're away on holiday, there's telephone number or email that you can contact, and they've got their own, not us at Jennifer Cunningham, but there is
the insurance service.
A claim service, so they would be given all the information over the telephone, and it's all English speaking, because of course most of our clients are English speaking.
And it's the documentation in English as well.
It is,
often,
yeah.
Sometimes you'll do something here in Spain and go,
yes.
Right, I knew what I was doing there, managed to do it with my terrible Spanish, and then you get the paperwork and you go,
I think that's why a lot of expats do actually insure with us as an agent, because they want to have all the information in English. And, certainly me, when I sell a travel policy, I always make sure I go through the paperwork with them. And it's not confusing at all. Okay, when you're looking at the policy wording, that's a lot of pages.
You
don't have to look at all of that.
Yeah.
But for the initial schedule for travelling, just to tuck into your handbag or your suitcase, it's just sort of 4 pages, and it tells you everything you're covered for, how much you're covered up to per person, and of course what excess you might pay if there were to be a claim.
Of course, we experienced the pandemic a few years ago, and can you cover for something like that, for instance?
Yep, there is a COVID-19 cover. Now, it's not as popular now, of course, but when everything was a little bit uncertain, there was cover for COVID-19, and it was actually compulsory to have that cover at one time. But now, again, you can have it as an optional extra. Some people still worry about it, and other people sort of have the attitude, I've been vaccinated and I've had it twice before, and, so that's not, that's something that people don't worry about as much now, but they did at the time, definitely.
It was a possibility.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, there are different types you can have, because you can. I think you mentioned it briefly, but so explain the different. So single trip, and tell me a little bit about how that works, or say perhaps that as opposed to having cover for a whole year for your whole family.
Okay, so you can get cover straight away. By the way, I mean, I've had people ring me up and they're on their way to the airport, and they say, "Oh my goodness, I forgot that I need travel insurance," and it happened to me last week.
Okay.
So basically, they can ring us up and they'd have to tell us the date that they're leaving Spain. So the cover will be from when you leave Spain to when you return to Spain. So with a single trip, you just put that in and their destination. And the different destinations are Europe, which does include the UK, because a lot of people do ask that.
Yeah, well, it's geographically it's still Europe. We're just not in the European Union.
No, exactly. But a lot of people
we do hear a lot about
question.
We're a third country, so it is a question you need to ask.
That's right.
These days.
And then you've got worldwide, excluding the USA and Canada. And then you have worldwide, including the USA and Canada.
There are some countries where the UK Foreign Office advises us not to travel.
Yes.
I guess they're not included.
Well, no. So
like
the
Cuba,
only place
Iran,
that's exactly
North Korea.
it.
Not that I think
that's
anybody
right.
really
The
wanted
only
to
places that are not covered are Cuba, Iran, and North Korea.
Right.
So they are the ones. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And what about age range as well?
Okay.
Do you have different cover for different age groups?
Yes. So there's different age brackets, and like all insurance, sadly, the older you get, the more expensive it's going to be, of course.
As I'm finding out.
Yeah,
yes.
which is a shame because this is when people are really travelling. But we cover up to age 79 years old. And even if someone takes out an annual policy when they're 79, even if they turn 80 within that year, we'll still cover them, but then we wouldn't be able to renew it the year after.
Okay.
And there is certain restrictions. For example, if you were going to travel... if you were going on a single trip, the travel insurance will cover you up to 180 days up to the age of 65 for a maximum of 32 days from the ages of 66 to 79. And then an annual multi-trip, again, it does depend on the age, but you've got different amounts of days that you can travel. So, for example, the standard travel insurance...
Sort of periods.
Yeah, that's right. So you can travel for 17 days maximum, and that's per trip. But if you're going a bit further afield and having a fancy holiday, you can then upgrade it to either 32 days, 45 days, or even 90 days. Again, there is some age restrictions on that. It just depends on where you're going and how long for.
Oh, it's pretty much sounds like it's comprehensive and
yeah,
and
there's something for everyone. Absolutely, it's super easy at Jennifer Cunningham to take out travel insurance. The annual policies, again, they're very good because a lot of people are taking more than one trip.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it could be that people who've perhaps, retired and are working on about maybe, 3 or 4 trips over the year. One of them a cruise, one of them skiing,
very
one of
lucky,
them
aren't
maybe
they?
further afield. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
so
the thing.
you can actually get a policy that will look after all of those
Yeah,
things.
and it's important for us to ask the questions because, we know what we need to be offering our clients. So, I always say, are you... Because initially someone might want a single trip, and it's not because I'm trying to upsell, it's because I want them to get the best out of their policy.
Say, do you get a better deal if it's sort of a multi...
Sometimes it's so surprising because I've even quoted for a single trip. And I will always do an annual policy as well because it's just one flick of a button and it gives you the price straight away. And it's so surprising that sometimes there's so little in it. So I'll say to them, are you going on another trip within this year? Because if you are, it's only another €10 per person to have an annual policy. So, so it's important to ask the questions.
It's probably a wide question, but what sort of prices are we looking at?
Again, it is a difficult question. If you was going on a single trip for a week in Europe, depending on your age, for example, I think someone that was born in 2000, which they're very young, obviously, I think a single trip for about a week was around €55 for a silver policy. But, it is quite a difficult one because it does depend on how many days they're going for, where they're going, their age. So there's don't quote me on that.
What sort of advice would you offer to travellers, Kellie?
Well, it's very, very important that you get travel insurance because, again, we said before, people don't always think about it. There's so much to do, the packing and, everything you have to remember when you're sorting a trip out, but you don't always think of the travel insurance. But it's not going to be too expensive unless you're going on an amazing holiday. Well, if you're going on an amazing holiday, you're going to spend thousands.
By lions in Kenya or something. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're actually going to spend so much on your holiday of a lifetime, and then are you really going to
risk it?
Are you really going to risk it and not spend, say, €300, for example, on travel insurance? It's just not worth it. So I would say, pack your suitcase, get your travel insurance and go and have a nice cocktail and just enjoy yourself. But you just want that peace of mind.
Nothing to worry about.
100%, yeah.
Now, how can people find out about what you have on offer? I know there's the website, right, and the Facebook page. Tell us about those.
Yeah, we've got our website, of course, but we also have a dedicated Facebook page for each of the different offices. 7 offices in total. I actually take care of those, and I know that we check it daily. We're always posting updates and useful information. You can always, there's so many different ways. You can call us.
JenniferCunningham.net is the website.
Yes,
and
that's right.
You can find everything on there.
Exactly. I mean, if you was just to Google or even go on your Facebook page and put Jennifer Cunningham, for example, Jennifer Cunningham Benny Hoffer or Jennifer Cunningham Javier, you could go to that Facebook page, and we really appreciate it if you would like it and maybe share it. But we've also got our Google pages, our Google business pages for each of the offices. Again, I update those. And, we do keep them up to date. We're getting some amazing reviews. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can look on there yourself. And if you are our client and you have had a good experience with one of our offices, we'd really appreciate you taking the time and maybe leaving us a
Always
review.
Helpful.
Yeah, and we answer all the reviews as well. I don't think anybody really does anything
now. If you're going to book somewhere or look at something, you always check out the reviews.
Absolutely, I would always look at the reviews, definitely, and even Trustpilot. I go on all of those things. It's definitely worth it. TripAdvisor. There's so many different things that you can look for now as a reference. And honestly, if you was to look at our reviews, that would help you to make your decision, because we do go above and beyond and we do try very hard to help our clients. Definitely.
The phone number is 966 461 690. But like I say, probably the website is a great place to start. You find all of the details there.
Definitely.
And of course, we're going to be talking every couple of weeks, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Great to see you in the studio this week.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll do some of them remotely as well. But we'll be able to see you on our Facebook page and indeed on your own.
Yes, thank you.
The chaps and the girls from Bay Media will make sure that you have those so that you can feature them as well.
Wonderful.
Great to meet you.
And you, thank you very much.
Nice
it's been
to
a
have
pleasure.
you in the studio, and lots of luck to everybody at Jennifer Cunningham.
Thank
They've had
you
a difficult
so much.
time, but it's lovely to have you back with us.